last time, 2 weeks ago, I was here when Ibsen shared about how Jesus scooped down, become nothing, become weak, by asking water from the woman in order to reach out to her. So I think this is beautiful. It's always one of my favorite stories. So I thought maybe I can just expand a little bit here from borrowing a different lens. So Jesus sounds oxymoron, right? So oxymoron. I try to use this. Okay, it sounds oxymoron that Jesus had to become weak in order to save the weak. And not only that, it's also countercultural and religious what Jesus did. I'm sorry, I don't quite. Anyone can help? We just press on. When I say like this, you just press on again. So Jesus also was countercultural and counter-religious because according to the time, as what we read just now, the Jews, the chosen one, were not supposed to associate with the impure one, the Samaritans. But not only that, he reached out to not the Samaritan woman, but to the woman who has been leading a sinful life. So it's double no-no for Jesus. Then what about the woman? What the story tells? The story tells us that this woman went to get water at noon. Anyone knows at noon why? The people usually get water towards the evening because it was less heat, right? And because Jesus was tired and thirsty, it was hot, and then she went. I assume that probably she was trying to hide from the crowd. When people are there, either she was being ostracized. She was not welcome because of her personal life. So she had to hide herself and go during the noontime to collect water. So I can imagine that her life must be very isolated, very lonely, maybe a sense of shame in her that she has to somehow went to collect water at noon, so no one can see her. So how did Jesus approach her? Go over. How did Jesus approach her? Jesus broke all the rules, right? And Jesus self-introduced. Jesus said to her, if you had known who asked you for water, you would have asked him to give you the eternal one. So Jesus was trying to indicate to her who he is. But the response of the woman was twofold. First of all, she was happy. She said, hey, give me that water so that I don't have to keep coming back. It's difficult for her to come back alone, tired, and feeling rejected. Give me that water. But then her focus was fixated on the reality of things. You have nothing to draw from. How could you give me the water? And look, the well is deep. So with that, Jesus, the story tells us, he did not give up. He saw her more than just a sinful woman. He saw maybe this is a lost soul that needs healing. So he further expressed his love by asking her to invite your husband, have your husband come over to maybe like open a crack for her to come in. And the result is, she said, I have no husband. And how Jesus said? Jesus, yes, I know you have actually 5 husbands. I know you. You have 5 husbands. And I see you. The one that you are with now is not your husband. But unlike the others rejecting you, I don't condemn you. I just flatly say, yes, whatever you said is true. So Jesus tried to tell her that I accept you and I have something better for you. So again, he disclosed himself further by saying that if you had know who I am, you would have asked me for eternal water. So this is a story. So what happened to the lady, to the woman? From in the I think in John 4:49, what did she do? She immediately put down the water jar and rushed back to the crowd to tell them, hey, the Messiah that I've been looking for, I found him. He's here. Come and see. So her life obviously is immediately transformed. So the trajectory of her life changed. Now no longer she carried the shame, and she doesn't care too much about how she was looked upon and how she viewed herself. It's less important than what God sees her. So I'm sure that all of us, to some extent, can relate to her story. Somehow, if you agree, I think if you are honest, we are somehow more influenced by the social values and the standard, and define ourselves from that. And our life experiences somehow has more power than what we really are. And so with that, I'd like to share my life story. I can definitely relate to this woman. I used also to carry shame for a long time with me. So to share the background, I was born in a broken family. My parents are, I call them permanent gambler. They used to gamble so much. So my father actually was an absent father, absent husband. And in bitterness, my mother resorted to learn how to gamble, so to get even with him, in an attempt to revenge against my father. So afterwards, it's not my father was absent. My parents are totally absent growing up. So either they are not there or they were there and they were fighting like cats and dogs, conflicts over conflicts. So they gambled so much and lost so much money that my parents were, the children, there are 7 of us, I'm the 4th within 7. So the children were pulled out from school in an early age, so to help to pay the debts. And at 13, my mother decided that I should go and work for her to pay the debts. I remember that one class teacher, Miss Alice Ho, she came and tried to convince my mother that let me stay in studies, in school, because I was a good student. And she even volunteered to pay my school fees. But my mother flatly declined the offer and said, no, thank you, but I need her to get money home so that we can pay the debts. So I was out working since the age of 13. 2 years later, when I turned 15, I was sent to Japan to work because obviously more money. So the culture, Japanese culture at that time was such that women were treated less than men because it's a patriarchal value system. And so, needless to say, life was tough and very, very long and tough life. So I used to feel exactly like the woman at the well. I feel somehow I consider myself, you're just less than good, and you're just less to everybody else, and I amount to nothing. I don't matter. So there's always this gnawing sense of sadness, deep sadness within me, and also adopt the outlook, thinking, life is just a duty, endless duty, long road, hard road with no purpose and meaning, until I met Jesus. So Jesus, he's sacrificial and unconditional love reminds me of who He is and whose I am. I am the beloved, just like the song says. I'm a child of God. I'm the beloved, regardless what happened. And so that was the turning point. I'm deeply loved by Him. That's what I gather. And funny enough, that since young, I always loved studies for some reason. I don't know why. So I think now, in hindsight, I think God has planted the hunger and thirst for learning in me. And the life experiences, the long time of sufferings, actually offer me more strength, more insight, and more resilience, because I was tried by fire. So at the age of 30, I went back to school. I attended night classes and graduated high school as a mother of two. And years later, I did a bachelor degree, after moving to Canada. And again, I did a master degree of counseling. And now I'm a registered psychotherapist in Canada. I've been working years of that. So you may wonder, why counseling? So I think, in hindsight, I've been always fascinated by human conditions and what it brings, what it can bring to our life, and individually or collectively. So the Bible story tells, there's so many stories that tells about that, how people struggles, and how God saves and heals. And so, and I think, to me, to see how Jesus often walks alongside with those marginalized ones, with those wounded ones, with those broken ones. And I said, hey, if I love Jesus, I need to learn to love what He loves. That's why I chose counseling. So over the years of counseling, talking to people, I come to learn and appreciate that actually all of us, regardless of your race, of your gender, of your age, all of us are looking for space to come to understand our own identity. So we all look for relationship, we all look for sense of belongings, we all look for significance, we all look for meaning. And I now know, after years of counseling, I come to also appreciate that it's not what happened to you that defines you. It's how you respond and what you do to what happened to you determines who you are. You see the story of the woman. She can fixate it on, the rejection of life, but she turned, and after she encountered Jesus, the amazing love from Jesus moved her to say now her life is transformed. So that's why I think Jesus often cautions us by saying, let those who have eyes see and ears to hear. Because unless we make space for God and pay attention to what He's doing, what He's saying, we'll just easily miss and get the tide of the culture at the time just overwhelm us. So in that, I also want to share, because of my experience, I think it's easy for me to say now maybe the woman at the well, now she will live a life happily ever after, which is not true. I'm sure, like if you're honest, you think this doesn't happen that way. Even if we become Christian, it doesn't happen that way either. And so I think the tension between the old, who she was, and who she becomes is still very real, because we are still in the world. We're still somehow, the human condition is such that somehow we're bombarded over and over again. And I'm sure there are times that she will be just sucked back into her old self, just as I do. But I'm also certain and sure that Jesus knows and Jesus understands. And Jesus still wants me to turn to him whenever I stumble. That's my lifelong spiritual journey. And I'm sure that will be yours too. So in closing, I'd like to share with you this Japanese Kinjuki ceramic art. This is a century-old. This Kinjuki ceramic art is a century-old art that you can just read here, of repairing broken pottery with gold. So what they do, then rather than just rejoining the ceramic art to repair the broken pieces with the normal adhesive, Kinjuki technique employs a special tree sap liquor that dusted with powder gold. So they will just fill the crack with this special technique, with a special liquor. So what happened once completed, the beautiful seams of gold glint in the cracks, giving it a one-of-a-kind appearance to this repaired piece. So I think this is a beautiful way to look at life. Kanjuki is a very strong metaphor for life. If we can apply Kanjuki to our life, it means that we will get bold. Just focus on being bold instead of hiding our cracks, hiding our imperfection, hiding our woundedness. We apply it so that our life, when through our experiences, we can now turn to it and try to investigate it. And possibly sometimes we can accept it and maybe bring another lens to look at it, to find a new perspective about what happened to us. So I think this is a wonderful metaphor for us to remember. You're bound to come across brokenness because life itself is difficult. And also, I'd like to share with you another example before I close. I always bring this example to my clients in a session. So anyone tells me what is this? Sorry? $100? You sure? You sure this is $100? Yeah? So if I give it to you, can you use it? Can you all use it? You sure? Okay. Okay, tell me, how much is it? How much is it? It's still 100. Why? Even of what happened to it? It's still $100? And I said, this is me. This is you. Battered, but dearly loved by God. So don't forget that. It doesn't change any of your deep self. You are His. You are being treasuredly loved. So that's my sharing. Thank you for your time. Yeah, so, yeah.